For our 5.4 on your own task, you have to choose 5 of these problems to do. I'm going to help you set them up and think about them. I'm not going to do the math with you though. So you're going to be doing the multiplying and dividing on your own. If you need help with that, make sure you come and ask. This video is going to help you set them up. I'm going to set them up 2 different ways. I'm going to set them up using the unit rate and a chart, and I'm going to set them up using some proportional reasoning with where we're going to multiply across and then divide by the missing piece there. So I'm going to set them up both ways. You can do it whichever way you want. You just have to do one way, but you do need to do it one of these ways. So you can choose which one. You're going to do the math on your own. I will help you read them and set them up though. So Mr. Sen wants to treat a group of friends either to the movies or a hockey game for his birthday. Both the theater and the hockey team offer group pricing as shown in this table below. Which offers the lesser price per person, the movies or the hockey game? So it wants to know which one is a better deal. So I'm going to start with a unit rate. Oh, sorry. Oh my goodness. Unit rate first. So here we have movie pricing. So here's my movie. So I'm going to get some labels. And if you need a scratch paper, go get a scratch paper. And we also have the hockey game. So I know I've got people and money. So people and money. So my people, I have 7 people for the movie, and it cost $54.25. And then if I go to the hockey game, it is going to cost, for 12 people, it is going to cost $94.80. So just because this one is cheaper doesn't mean right off the bat it's a better price, right? Because more people can go. So we want to know how much is it going to cost for one person to go? How much is it going to cost for one person to go? So what we're doing here is we need to find that one person. So how do I get from 7 to 1? I divide by 7, so I do the same thing here. I divide by 7 and see how much it costs for one person. Now, how do I get from 12 to 1? We divide by 12, so I do the same thing here and divide that by 12. Find out how much it costs for one person, and whichever one is cheaper is going to be the one that he wants to take them to because it is less money per person, right? Per one person. I want to know how much it is for one person. So this one, where we don't have to change it to a different number besides 1, we're just going to do it this way with the unit rate chart. Okay, this one tells us that Jan takes 9 hours to paint 2 desks. So 9 hours for 2 desks. At this same rate, how long will it take her to paint 15 desks? So we're going to set it up with the unit rate first. So the things we have, we're comparing hours and desks. So hours, we're going to get our chart. So the hours was 9, and that's to paint 2 desks. At this same rate, how long is it going to take her to paint 15 desks? But first I need to know how long it will take to paint 1 desk. Then once I know 1, then I can find 15. So we're going to apply the unit rate. So how do I get from 2 to 1? I divide by 2. How do I get from 9? We're also going to divide by 2. 2 doesn't go in there perfect. It's going to have a decimal with it. So if I add that 0 and that decimal there, now it will go in there nicely because now it ends in an even number. So I put this here. Now I use my unit rate. This is just like those equivalent ratio tables we made. How do I get from 1 to 15? Do the same thing to this number. So if I times by 15 here, I need to times by 15 here. So that's the unit rate. If we apply the unit rate, if one desk takes this long, how many will 15 take? So the other way is we can use the ratio reasoning and set up our proportions. So same thing, but this time we're just going to make two fractions. So for 9 hours, she did 2 desks. In 9 hours, she painted 2 desks. At the same rate, how long will it take her? So how many hours to paint 15 desks? I can see the desks are lined up. The desks, if she paints 2, now she wants to paint 15. So we're looking for this piece here. So we're going to cross what we have. So because I can't cross this way because I don't know this one. So I'm doing 9 times 15. So 15 times 9. And then we're going to divide that answer by 2, and that will tell me how many hours it takes. We're just trying to get this number by itself. So I move this over here. The opposite of divide is time. So 9 times 15 divided by 2 tells me that missing piece. Either way you do it should be the same answer. Hey, Cody's aunt pays him $30 to walk her dog 6 times. So we have money and we have walking the dog. So if we're doing $30 for 6 times, oh, we're making a chart first, sorry. It wants to know how many times must he walk the dog. So how many times walking the dog, this is what we're looking for here, to earn $100. So I'm trying to get, so if he walks the dog 1 time, how much will he make? And then I'm trying to find 100. So if he walks the dog 1 time, I'm going to divide by 6, divide by 6. So if I divide by 6 here, what do we get? And then now that I know this number, I can see how many of these go into here. So you're going to have to do 100 divided by this number to see that. So you're going to times by how many? This, right? So 6, I'll help you out here. 30 divided by 6 is 5. Hopefully you figured that out. So how many times can 5 go into 100? 5 times what equals 100? And you're going to do the same thing here. And that will tell you how many times they have to walk the dog. The proportional reasoning strategy, so same thing, we take our money and we take the dog walking. So $30 for 6 times. And it wants to know how many times will they walk the dog to make $100. I put 100 on the top because that's where my money is. So I'm trying to get 100 by itself. So I'm moving it to the other side, which crosses those here. So 6 times 100 is 600. And now I'm going to divide that by 30. And I know it can't go into 6, but I know it can go into 60. How many times? Make sure you have something above each of these. And that's how many times they should walk the dog. So I like this way better because it's the same every time. I set it up, I cross multiply and divide every time. This one I have to do a little more thinking, but it also gets me to the same answer. I find the unit and then apply, but you've got to make sure you're setting it up in the right way. Both of them, you have to make sure you're putting the money together, the walking together. Hey, number 10 says that Jeff can read 300 pages in 10 hours. His twin, Sasha, reads 350 pages in 11 hours. Who is reading at the faster rate? So we have Jeff, and this one we're just going to set up as a unit rate because it just wants the rate. It wants to know how much they read in 1 hour. How much do they read in 1 hour to see who's reading faster? So we have Jeff and we have Sasha. So they have pages and they have hours. So we want to set this up. So Jeff reads 300 pages and Sasha reads 352 pages, but they're reading it in different amounts. So we can't just be like, oh, she reads more. So Jeff is going to do that in 10 hours. Sasha does it in 11. And I want to know how many pages they read in 1 hour, right? Who's reading faster per hour in 1 hour? So how do I get from 10 to 1? We divide by 10. So I need to do the same thing here, divide by 10. How do I get from 11 to 1? Divide by 11. So I do the same thing here. Oh, I don't know why I wrote a 2 there. That's a 0. 350. Okay. 350. Good thing I checked. Okay, you're probably wondering what I was doing. I was too. So we divide by 11 here as well. And then whoever has the bigger number is reading faster. Number 11 tells us that Ross has a model truck. It has a scale of 1 inch to every 32 inches of the real truck. So we have a model truck and we have a real truck. So every time we have one of these, it's 32 inches on the real truck. He wants to build a garage for the model at the same scale. So he's building his model. Given that the garage for the real truck is 12 feet wide. So we're going to put that here, right? The real truck is 12 feet wide. How wide should his model garage be? Oh, and these were inches. These are feet. This is kind of a tricky problem here. Okay, we can do it. We can think through this. So first, let's change these into inches. So if we have 12 feet, there are 12 inches in a foot. So let's come on over here and get rid of this 12 feet here and make it inches. So 12 times 12 is 144 inches. That's going to be easier if our units are the same. So inches will be much easier. So his real garage is 144. So we need to see, how do I get from 144 to 32? So we need to do 144 divided by 32 to see this number here. So then we're going to times 1 times that number to get that there. We can also set it up as a proportion. We're really going to do the same thing actually, right? So one of these is 32 of these. And I want to know how many inches this will be if this is 144 inches. But we want to use that 144, not 12, because it's feet. We want inches. So this tells me I'm doing 1 times 144, which is 144. And I'm going to divide by 32. So you're literally doing the same problem when you're using those unit rates, but this just tells me exactly what I'm going to multiply and what I'm going to divide by. It just cuts out some thinking for me because I just know I multiply, divide. It tells me exactly what to do here, where here I kind of have to think a little bit more. What is this factor here? So I prefer this one, but if you like this, you do whichever one you like better. Okay, and we have number 12. It says Greg drove 300 miles at a constant speed in 5 hours. So we have miles and hours. So he drove 300 miles in 5 hours. The speed limit was 70 miles in 1 hour. Was his rate greater than the speed limit? So this is what we're going to use at the end. So I want to know, how fast did he drive in 1 hour? And I'm going to compare it to 70. So we can go from here to here and here to here, or we can set it up as proportions. 300 miles in 5 hours, and I want to know how many he did in 1 hour. So 300 times 1 divided by 5 will give us this answer. So if this answer is bigger than 70, he was speeding. If it's 70 or less, he was not going faster than the speed limit. Okay, and our last one, if you're choosing to do this one, says Chris paddles 5 miles down a stream in 3 hours. So I'm underlining my units. We have miles, we have hours. So he's going 5 miles in 3 hours. It wants to know how far she will have gone in 9 hours. So hours is on the bottom. We're going to put it over here. So first I need to know 1. How much do they do in 1 hour? So how do I get from 3 to 1? Divide by 3. So I need to do 5 divided by 3. We're going to have to add a little decimal in here. It's not going to go in there quite perfect, but it should be close enough. I also And then I'll take that. How do I get from 1 to 9? I times it by 9. I do also notice I can go straight from 3 to 9. I can times by 3, so I can really just go straight here and times by 3. Let's look at that in the proportion strategy. We have miles and hours. Oh my goodness, the bell rang. I gotta go fast. Okay, miles was 5, hours was 3, and I want to know 9 hours. So if I do 5 times 9 and divide it by 3, it will give me that answer there. So you got to set it up the right way. You can do it.